Ladies and gentlemen, we want you to stand and we want you to make some noise.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing here at Knoxville.
Only the best go three abreast.
It is show time at Williams Grove Speedway.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, here at Eldora Speedway, it's showtime!
You got them for a rep. Often imitated, never duplicated. The greatest show on dirt, the World of Outlaws.
It's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy because, ladies and gentlemen, it's showtime!
Set to do battle for 30 laps. The green flag is waving.
What a season. I am telling you, the 2019 season with sprint car racing has been fantastic. Now, we know there's still one more coming up. We'll talk a little bit about that up in Pennsylvania, but the 2019 season has been awesome. Steve Post sitting here. It is the Wing Nation podcast, and we are going to talk state of the sport. We do this every year. Brian Carter, the CEO of the World Racing Group, he's going to join us, and we're going to get an overall picture on the sport. We're going to talk about the World of Outlaws. We're going to talk about what a weekend at the World Finals, and we're going to take a look into the 2020 season. So stay with us. Brian Carter from the World Racing Group, the World of Outlaws, he joins us next.
And now for the Dryden death-defying move of the week, where one driver simply amazes us with their on-track moves.
Johnny Schatz now third. Gravel to the inside to take the lead out of turn 4. David Gravel leads lap 6. Side by side, Sweet and Schatz racing for the third spot. Sweet's got it back on the top side out of turn 2.
That death-defying move was brought to you by Dryden Diesel All Death, the official death of the World of Outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. Visit Dryden.com for more information. Instilled with Dryden's heritage of performance, Dryden Diesel All Def is built for the demands of today's diesel engines. Dryden Diesel All Def is perfect for owners and operators of on-road and off-road diesel trucks and cars that now require diesel exhaust fluid. Dryden, official motor oil and official diesel exhaust fluid of the World of Outlaws and wheelmen everywhere. And as always, American-owned and operated. Visit Dryden.com for more information.
Are you a serious diecast collector? Do you have a favorite driver? Are you looking for a gift for a race fan? No matter what the question, the answer is always PlanBSales.com. Plan B has all the latest in diecast from Lionel and apparel, artwork, and other items for your favorite driver in NASCAR or other forms of racing. Go to PlanBSales.com. Key your driver's name in the search window and look at all the options. Your one stop for diecast and other motorsports collectibles is PlanBSales.com.
Sage Fruit is a high-quality grower, packer, and shipper of Washington State apples, pears, and cherries. Sage Fruit believes in sprint car racing as a proud sponsor of sprint cars for the past 16 years and a partner of Wing Nation for the past 4 years. We love sprint car racing, and we're there for our sprint car fans. Sage Fruit works hard to deliver an exceptional eating experience. We value our relationship with sprint car fans and appreciate your continued support of Sage Fruit. Ask for Sage Fruit at your local grocer.
This is the Wing Nation Podcast. Back to Steve Post and Aaron Evernham.
It is the Wing Nation Podcast. We are so glad you joined us here as we talk sprint car racing, wrapping up the 2019 season, and we're glad you joined us. We always talk about the Red Brand Fence Hotline. Well, actually, we have the guest chair, I guess it is, and we welcome the CEO from the World Racing Group, Brian Carter, back. How are you, man?
Man, I am great, outstanding. I'm a little tired, but I'm good. It was an incredible year, but the last week has been a whirlwind of excitement here in our world.
For sure. We traditionally, if you're new to Wing Nation, we have started a tradition, 4, 5, 6 years ago, where we bring you in, we just get a chance to talk and talk about the season that was. And boy, I'm telling you what, when you look at let's actually one of the things that I'll share, you're a numbers geek, you're a stats geek, not only World of Outlaws, but 410 sprint car racing. Let's talk big picture, real big picture, beyond the World of Outlaws. What was the season like in 410 sprint car racing?
The season was good if you exclude Mother Nature from the early part of the season.
Yeah.
It was we all forget pretty quickly, that we're 20-some shows short by the end of the year, even just in the World of Outlaws piece. But for the whole year, for the season, for all of the nation, it was about the same as 18. Pretty tough on the weather front. So, but we were within a handful of the same number of races on a national basis that we ran last year, which is pretty statistically close to the year before that. So things are pretty stabilized in the 410 world. It's going to ebb and flow a little bit, but it's been a pretty good year. When you look at, over 700 drivers again competed over 380 races, and I think we'll end up about 385 races this year in 410 and sprint car racing. So
nice.
When you take all the drivers and you add that up, that's about 8,200 individual starting cars that started races. That's a big deal.
That really, truly is. That really is. It's funny. Ashley and I were talking on our Tuesday show, and we were so geeked up about the end of the year, this point battle, the world finals and everything, that we had to remind ourselves that in April, we were thinking, what in the world is happening? Thank God, I guess we have short-term memory, but, when you have that portion of the season, sometimes it just makes it difficult. You just got to keep trudging on. This year, obviously, it ended on the total opposite side of the spectrum.
Yeah, I know it was once we got rolling in the summertime, it was a really good year for the World of Outlaws and for racing across the country. It took a little getting going. Once you got it going, it was actually really nice. And for the points battle to heat up the way it did, you couldn't have written a more storybook sort of season for the World of Outlaws Sprint Car Series, and it was extraordinary. And I think a couple of our guys are glad a couple of those races at the end of the year rained out, and it was it just happened to play. There's a lot of variables. This is a moving game. It is a high speed, high intensity, high passion sport, and all of those dynamics throw wrenches at your plan. It's just from a series perspective, from the fans making big plans, and then you end up with dealing with rain. But all in all, it all works out in the end, and it sure did for us and for the World Finals, and with Donnie and Brad and those guys putting on a show for all these race fans. It was just an extraordinary end to 2019.
Really, truly was. That is for sure. When you have, I want to talk big picture, and I know every one of these scenarios is different, okay? Every one of these rainouts are different. So, there are times you're able to reschedule. There are times you're not able to reschedule. You end up canceling. What all goes in to all of those decisions when we have a rainout? It's like, well, why don't they do it here? Why don't they do it there? It sounds simple for us knuckleheads to say it, but what all goes into those decisions when you're in that spot?
Everything you could possibly imagine. It's it's hard enough just to get the calendar right without any rain. So when you start, Carlton and the guys work really, really hard with our promoters to put together a calendar that works not only from a fan's perspective, from a series perspective, but there's a lot of up and down, back and forth that you want to try to avoid and still see as many race fans as possible. So just getting the weekends laid out the first time is tough enough, much less than trying to create a contingency plan to pick up the races along the way. So, there are a lot of dynamics. There's some times when, there are a couple markets where we're racing 6, 7, 8 times in the year. Mm-hmm. And if you lose one, you just lose one. You can't put another race inside there. There are races where you get a lot of the way done on Saturday night and you try to run them on Sunday. There's a lot of places that are regulatory forbidden or prohibited from racing on Sunday. So there's just a lot of things, even if the beer license isn't valid on Sunday, there's a lot of things that go into it. And really the whole sport and all of what the World of Outlaws in with the balance, it's a balancing act. You have to balance out everything. We feel the fans' perspective, we feel the drivers, we've got a lot of trucks and trailers going down the road. At the same time, there's all these local businesses and these racetracks that we partner with 93 nights a year, and it's got to work for everybody. And if it doesn't, sometimes you just got to throw, you got to give everybody their money back and you try again next year. And that's just what we've ended up doing in some situations. Sometimes you can actually, you got good enough, far enough in it. There's a really good date that works and you have to put it back in there. We think it's the best plan for everybody. But it's a huge balancing act. And sometimes you look back and go, well, I wish we'd have done something a little bit different.
Yeah.
But we can't. There's a lot of dynamics and a lot of people. And in balancing all that out is a place I think we got to a pretty good spot. And people understand kind of how we have to make some decisions on that front.
Yeah, it is. It is a challenge, and I like your point. It's tough enough putting the calendar together the first time, let alone with all of the challenges with it. Let's talk a little bit about it. You've mentioned it. We've talked about it. We actually saw the Dryden Diesel all death-defying move of the week was Donnie and Brad on lap number 6 there on Saturday night. We have done this world final event, and I don't remember. We might have had I think there was a year or two where Donnie needed to enter to be crowned the champion. As this started to come into fruition, your level of excitement with the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink Sprint Cars is you're like, wait a minute, this could go down to the end, and then to have it go down and be so few points. I mean, that's a promoter's dream.
It is a storybook ending. We've had a couple of those happen. I can still remember when Rick Eckert winning the championship, and I was walking down to Victory Lane when the leader blew a tire,
Yep.
and Rick passed him and got the championship in the meantime. It was so you hear the whole crowd scream and yell. It was to have that kind of excitement for 2 of the 3 series here, including the sprint car series. It was extraordinary, really. It was a level of intensity and a level of stress that a lot of people hadn't anticipated, and it was exciting at the same time. And you couldn't have written a better story, a book ending to it.
Yeah.
I think Donnie would tell you differently.
Sure.
But our goal as promoters is to make sure that that's settled on the racetrack and to have it side by side, or them race in swap positions. And during the race, the last race for the championship, that is raw, real, and exciting as it gets.
That place was coming unglued there when they were running side by side with each other. And yes, you're right. Donnie told us on our Dry Dean Wing Nation race day on Friday that he preferred the other method of doing it, locking it up a month in advance. But it's funny. You mentioned something at the banquet that I never thought about, and we had something. We always get the champion. Well, we've always just get with Misha, with Donnie Schatz, and say, when does he want to come to the studio and do it? Well, you can't really have that conversation because you don't want to jinx anybody. So we're saying, well, if this, then can we do this? And we're dealing with Casey and Brad's people as well. But you guys you couldn't even get the ring size fitted. Where normally you do the championship ring presentation, you're going to have to hold that in Volusia, I guess now.
Yeah, no, we've done that before. Our trophy guys, we're printing trophies, we're printing plates, we're printing checks. All that happens on Sunday morning. It's really exciting to not know.
Yeah.
It's like Christmas. I don't want to know what I'm going to get for Christmas. I want to see what happens. And we have the trophy guys standing by. We have all the accountants standing by to write the checks to the right people. And it sorts out. It's not just the top. All those are sorting. All those positions are sorting out on Saturday night. So that part's all you can dream and hope for. When you set the stage, I talk about setting the stage. The World of Outlaws series is responsible for setting the stage. So these guys can be the best race car drivers they can be every night, and to put that show in a concise and crisp and exciting format for the race fans, and they get it to enjoy raw, real racing, not scripted, not manufactured. It is raw, real racing, and to do it on the last night of the year and not know who's going to be the champion until that. Even when the white flag flew, I could feel that anxiousness because I'd seen it happen before. Something just like the Dietrich flip. Right, I was standing in turn 2, looking down the back straightaway when that car was flipping, watching Brad drive right at it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, that's not exactly the way I want to see this sort out. I wanted them to race to it, not to get in something like that. But those happen the other 92 nights of the year or the other 71 nights of the year this year. Those happen too. And parts of those have led to where we're at. So it's just part of what we do. It is unpredictable. It is exciting. And you just don't know what you're going to see when you come to the racetrack.
It's live sports is what it is.
It's
you never know what's going to happen, and that's the beauty of it. That's the fun of it. So we talk about the championship battle, and it was epic. But I think this year, maybe more so than any year, your teams, your 13 teams that traveled around the country, such good depth, such strong depth. You had 3 teams that had double-digit wins. Brad Sweet had 16, David Gravel had 12, and Donnie Schatz had 11 wins. And really, and I think we saw it when you rolled into all parts of the country. You like to have rivalries, and I know there's some people in Pennsylvania that had a rough year, took it on the chin a little bit, and other parts of the country. Your teams this year, just talk a little bit about how they have stepped up their programs, because some years it's pretty even. That wasn't that even this year. Your teams were really, really stout.
Well, they've been in pursuit of that for a long time. You can see these teams develop, and there's a lot of emotion and a lot of positive energy around that 41 team after Jason's passing. So there was a community effort to make that team go fast. And the pursuit of Donnie and TSR have created such a high level of expectations that you could see the Casey Kane team, all the teams, like you said, the Shark Racing teams, the CJB team, you see Darren, and they're all stepping their game up, because I think a little bit at the beginning of the season they may have saw a little chink in the armor in Donnie, and I think that gave them a little bit of a boost to try to this may be the year. If Donnie's going to have an off year, this may be the one, and they took it seriously. Now, they've been doing that for several years in pursuit of doing it, and they had the chance to take advantage of some opportunities, but. Yeah, those 3 cars you mentioned are the class of the field right now, and they're tough to beat anywhere they go. You see that with the 41 winning the Knoxville Nationals and Brad winning the Kings Royal, and Donnie's just being both between the Donnie's car and the Brad Sweet car, they only had a couple of DNFs between the two teams. Between the two teams, only had. So you guarantee, no matter what, even when you saw the cars put at the back, or if they have trouble, they find a way to race themselves back to the front, and that's exciting.
It really, truly is. When we look at the 2019 schedule, Brian, and the season, we had some new events. The Patriot Nationals in Charlotte turned to a 2-day event. The Nashville race, of course, the Jackson Nationals. Todd Quering's always jumping that up. The Gold Cup. We have the big ones. Even Black Hills and Stockton went to $15,000 to win races. I know you've talked about how important that was to you in these 2-day shows, these 15, 20 or more to win shows. But and it's tough. You can't just create these things out of the air. But you've got to be satisfied with adding that quantity of quality big events like that.
Yeah, no, it's been a goal of ours, and we continue to achieve that goal, and we're going to continue to push on it as we go forward on all of our promoted shows and try to raise the status and the paydays for the teams, and make sure that the fans know they're part of something special. So, you mentioned some really good examples of things where we've taken the World of Outlaws into a new marketplace. Nashville was so receptive of and so excited, and it was a great event for the World of Outlaws, exposure wise and entertainment wise, and to hear that grandstand go crazy for things that we thought were really kind of a mediocre race. The first night, the second, it was exciting enough. If you were not a sprint car fan, if you were a diehard sprint car fan, it was kind of hard to watch one night, but it was actually ended up being, if you step back and you think, okay, I get to see 100 of these a year. That wasn't in the top 25, but for those guys who'd not seen sprint car racing, especially at their home track, and to see that kind of excitement on something, and it was a truly an exciting night. And I understand that. We have to make sure that we, in our perspective, we don't lose track that we are entertaining a lot of folks. And we may not get that pure sprint car race every night, but it's still exciting.
Yeah, that new market, seeing sprint cars for the first time, it's like, wow, that's pretty exciting stuff, that's for sure. Another thing that I look at when I look at the 2019 season is, and I think the word that comes to mind is new. It had some new things. A new sponsor with NOS Energy Drinks. I just love the middle name of NOS Energy Drinks.
Yes.
Because to me, this rings like the perfect partner for the World of Outlaw NOS Energy Drink sprint cars.
It is. Lauren has taken on this challenge with us with as much passion as I've seen any sponsor take. Yeah. It's actually very, very refreshing. Like you said, the energy and passion that they put into it and bring to sprint car racing and the World of Outlaws is extraordinary. And we're very, very thankful for that. They're doing things in market and retail activation that's never been done, or not in the recent history of the World of Outlaws. So all those things are really an awareness campaign, not only for NOS, but for the World of Outlaws, and it becomes a very positive cycle that you're starting with a partner like that. It's extraordinary to have them come in and seamlessly integrate them into our world and us into their world, and it was very, very positive. I couldn't tell you how happy I am about that.
You've kind of touched on something. We in the sprint car world, we get the schedule, we know the schedule, we know where we're going, we know what we're doing. But you talked about new markets, and you talked about in-store type promotions and that sort of thing. It's great to preach to the choir, and the choir is going to support you. Yeah. But the process of getting new people involved is a huge challenge, and I would dare say convenience stores and grocery stores are a great spot to catch people.
Absolutely. They're going in and out of there every day, and they're in the right market, and that is a piece of the puzzle that we were trying to put together, and to have that, with all of our social media, our video activations, all of those pieces, to have now in-store in-market retail activation is a piece that we were missing, and it is very welcomed and been a very positive effect on 2019 with our new partners at NOS. Like I said, Lauren has come in and done an extraordinary job of rallying her team around us, and we were rallying our team and everybody around us to help her sell more product too. So it's exciting when those things work out that way. It's very, very powerful.
Really, truly is. I think that's that perspective we all have in getting new people, preaching the sprint car gossip to some new folks. Another new element, and I got to be totally honest here, we're in the radio business here at MRN. We're in the delivery of content business. And when you guys announced last year that you're going to do Dirt Vision for all of the races, our engineering staff was like, how are they going to do this? We actually have talked to some people about, because we know you got a satellite truck and everything like that. As you sit here a year later, and we've had driver after driver after driver say it's been awesome. It's been a Darren Pittman. It's probably, it helps keep the Roth car on the road because Dennis and Teresa, but we have driver after driver. What's it been like from your perspective getting that in place and doing that this year?
Very, very exciting.
Yeah.
It is the new TV as far as we're concerned. This is the second year with the sprint car, second full year complete, second full year,
yes.
full year with the dirt, with the World of Outlaws More Late Model series. So, so yes, now we've doubled the requirements on the satellites and on the Concord business with our building here down the street. It's exciting. What it is it's an awareness campaign.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot portray this racing on a computer screen. You can engage the fan and you can show them, but all of that messaging is about getting them to the racetrack. How can we get the people that are watching to the racetrack? And then we know that when we're racing in California, your Pennsylvania and your Ohio fans are not going to get to go to California. We understand that, but to have them engaged on a weekly basis, understanding what's happening, and then maybe a couple of those guys do go to California next year, and we've actually seen that happen. The average attendance on a dirt car on a Dirt Vision subscriber has grown from 2 to 3 races a year to 5 or 6 races a year.
Nice.
So not only has the subscriptions grown, but the attendance at events has grown too, and that is the key objective for us with Dirt Vision, is to create the awareness, the fan engagement day in and day out, and then make them feel compelled to come to the racetrack. Then you get to see and experience the World of Outlaws.
Yeah, because it's better in person than it is on the screen.
Better in person.
It's good on the screen. It really truly is. My gosh, that's how time flies. It is the second year with it. I'm just like, it's crazy. How tough was it? Okay, and I had one of the most stringent old school promoters. Like, we don't do anything pay-per-view because it's going to affect my gate. I had one of those guys mid-season this year tell me, it makes no sense at all to me, but our gate is bigger. Even the fact that we're doing the pay-per-view. How tough was that selling process to some of those old school guys where I want people to pay at the ticket booth, not through this pay-per-view stuff?
It's a significant discussion. It is hard to grasp, but we believed it, and our strongest selling point was that every single one of our promoted shows has been on Dirt Vision.
Right.
And it has, and we are seeing attendance increases. All we can do is show them what you're doing. Yeah. And, the Hobstuds of the world, the Skagits of the world, they see, you hear about those racetracks. You know how good Tommy prepares his racetrack. But until you see it, and there are people that are in Texas and California and Florida that are subscribers that would never been to Hobstad, Indiana. And they watched it the first year, and I can guarantee you that some of those people came to Tommy's racetrack to see what he had in store for them. And that's what it comes down to. It is about a journey through the year, following these stories like Donnie and Brad and all of these other families and businesses going up and down the road and figuring out how to get the fan engaged and how to get them to the racetrack. It is an awareness campaign that's been extremely successful.
It truly is, and that was the thing. The promoter was like, it makes no sense to me, but I'm in because my numbers are better.
Your numbers are up.
My numbers are up, and so let's throw out the old school mentality. The one other thing you did add this year, you added Knoxville Raceway on Dirt Vision, and now we have Australian racing. How important is that just to keep the vibe moving? I mean, we all understand Knoxville. That's one word, Knoxville. We get it, but then the Australian stuff during this quote unquote off season. How important is that for you guys?
Well, our fans are fans year round. Yeah. So when you go dark, they're looking for that. And what we wanted to do is make sure that our Dirt Vision fans, our World of Outlaws fans, had an easy access to the content. So on the eastern side of Australia, it's a little bit difficult, a little more difficult. It's the middle of the night. But you can get up in the morning and have coffee at 7 a.m. and watch the western part of Australia and have some sprint car racing with breakfast. So, but that vacuum is the demand for that entertainment. We can't just all shut it off.
Sure.
Not on Sunday. We all still sprint car fans, and the stories that we have throughout our summer continue into their summer.
Yeah.
So for us, it's about creating. We talk about the momentum that World Finals creates. It creates excitement into PRI. It creates excitement into the winter, which includes the Chili Bowl and there are other pieces where people go look for excitement in racing, and then it carries right into the Dirt Car Nationals. And we've seen that carry forward these events. And we thought the best way to do that was to show racing And the best way to do that is to show live racing, and then to carry on these stories, because these stories that we've enjoyed all summer are going to get taken down south, and they're going to get enjoyed through their summertime, and they're going to come right back in here in full steam in February.
Many of the same characters will be involved during the Australian summer season, and I think the beauty of it is it also introduces us to some guys that may show up over here next summer for our summer season, names that we maybe are familiar with, like a James McFadden or a guy like that, but then there's so much talent down there that I really like that. Okay, so NOS was new this year, and of course the expansion of Dirt Vision this year. The end of the year, a new engine manufacturer came into the sport for the first time in a long time. I think it was 1998. It's the last time a Ford engine won. And while it's not necessarily a World of Outlaws initiative in that Tony Stewart spearheaded it, you guys obviously worked with him with the specs and the rules and everything. But as a series promoter, having another manufacturer and a company by the way of Ford, size, scope, and passion for it, what does that say? What does that mean for what you guys are doing?
Well, it means that our playground is now recognized as important by another manufacturer, and they're not the only manufacturer that's looking at it. So it's it's important for us to make sure that, again, the stage that we set is as grand a scale as possible, so that these guys can be race car drivers in front of their fans. And by doing that and increasing that awareness and increasing that level of playing field and the stage, it created a desire by another manufacturer to come in. That's a testament to all of our fans and all of our race car drivers and the series about the positive things that are happening around our sport. So, the good thing about Ford fit that engine right inside of our rule book. We've got a box, and we have we've been proud of not changing that rule book for a long time. The rule book has been the same. I think that's helped create the stability across the 410 racing world. And Ford being able to come in and create an engine inside that box from scratch with some of the things that they've learned on the late model side and learned over the several trials and errors with the sprint car motor over the last few years. It's not a secret. They've tried and haven't been successful, and this year they're successful. So I think it's I think their objectives are to have a competitive motor to hit the price point at or below where the other motors are at right now. That was one of their stated objectives, and I think they're able to achieve that. So that, in my mind, that's positive for the sport. But it is evidence of the awareness of what we're doing.
Yeah, it really truly is. We had Tony on Labor Day weekend. I caught up with him at Darlington, did an audio interview with him, and he talked about the price point and the engine and getting the engine in other cars as they move forward into latter part of probably next season is what we're looking at. And it's such an exciting time. And we see it in the NASCAR world. The manufacturers' battles are exciting, and we're certainly not here to announce anything, but I don't believe Ford will be. There are other manufacturers I know that are showing interest. We've caught wind of it here. So that's an exciting thing and an endorsement. You mentioned fitting it within the engine rules, the box of the rules. As we look at the end of this year, you have regular meetings with your owners. You have regular meetings with the Sprint Car Council and everything else. Are there any significant changes that we have in the rules, or are they pretty much where we're at with it?
No, there's no significant changes coming on the 410 side. On the Sprint Car Racing side, we did some changes into this year. A significant part of our focus is on safety. So we're looking at the cars, looking at the racetracks, looking at the different places. How can we continue to move the safety forward in the sport? It's still dangerous. They're still going really, really fast. Yeah. There's still 24 of them on the racetrack, plus or minus, and it's that part is exciting, but it also creates a level of danger. So we want to try to minimize the risks as best we can and move the cars forward. There really is not a lot. We've been very progressive over the last 10 years trying to make those things happen. But, any rule change costs people money. We understand that. If you change a rule, it costs everybody money. And we really want to try to, if we see, we're not going to change a rule unless it's against a 4, 5, 10-year objective of where we want to be, and we need to change the direction or move the entire thing, thing that I've talked about balancing, the businesses of the race cars, the business of the promoters, week in and week out in the World of Outlaws, and trying to move that whole mass forward to a place we all can be happy with in 10 or 15 years or 20 or 30 years. So that's keeping it on that path. And the good thing is it doesn't take really sharp turns of the rudder to keep it going that way right now. It's going pretty good.
Yeah. You mentioned safety, track safety. We had Darren Pittman on midseason. Somewhere along the way, he had shared with me where he's involved with Carlton, your race director. And the story here is Darren and the drivers, they'll get on their four-wheelers, they'll go right around the racetracks and say, I don't like this, I don't like that. They all funnel it through Darren, who then gets together with Carlton. So we don't have a mob storming the promoter's tower. We don't have a mob storming the World of Outlaw trailer. And they have a conversation on Monday or Tuesday about, hey, we'd like to see this and that. Darren raved about it, going back to tracks and saying, hey, that's good. Hey, that's good. We know we can't cost the promoter $500,000 to reinvent his place. From your perspective, how has that program went now as we it started late last year, but as we've ran a full season with it?
No, it's good. It's a very constructive way of providing feedback in a way that's very productive. So those pieces are all, the drivers and teams, I think they sincerely believe that we're trying to make this better for everybody. Yep. Same thing for the promoters, those harsh words or passion on race day don't help us a whole lot. So you try to get them where you get some constructive feedback. If there's anything that we need to address immediately, we do.
Sure.
And then we try to, again, same thing, put that promoter on a path that makes it better for us all going forward. But the main thing is they've been able to consolidate that feedback. For us, sometimes, you can walk by the same piece. We own the property in Florida. I was down there this morning. You walk by that wall, it looks the same. Until you share your perspective with somebody else that's different than their perspective is different than yours, you may not see something that they see. And when you get all that on the table in a constructive format, you can make a lot of progress that way.
Yeah. It has been. I forget what he said, but the number of tracks was really, really good. And then Carlton would take it to the track operator, and they'd be like, "Well, man, I can't do this one. I can do this. I can do that." And some of the things are just. And I do know it's appreciated and respected. Okay, so you talk about you were down in Florida. Okay, so as we start to spin forward into 2020, how are things looking in Florida? Because my sources, our friends, the McLean brothers, who were down there with a camera, my sources say Volusia has had a total makeover.
Well, it is in some form of in-process makeover. It's from the property owner that's going racing in about 60 days. Yeah. That's pretty frightening. It's exciting. The grandstands the steel structure is up, the concrete is in, the permits are all done, the engineering is signed off. The county said, call us when you get close to completion. We'll take a look at it. All those things are great. But when you're building a grandstand that's effectively 2 rows short of Charlotte Motor Speedway at Volusia Speedway, it's pretty exciting. I was down there and the man lift got up to the very, very top looking. It's like, wow, look at that. I don't even have to look through a fence to watch the racing now.
Wow.
It's pretty extraordinary. So, but we've got our hands full for the next 60 days. But the race fans that show up at Volusia Speedway, I hope they're going to be really impressed when they drive up to that property this year.
That just sounds phenomenal. Yeah, we saw the stockpiles of steel around there last year, so it'll be good to see that in use and in play.
Yeah.
When we look at 2020, I know you haven't released the schedule yet. What was there? More of the same? Is there anything that you can share with us? How is the schedule looking as you put it together?
The schedule is just as solid as it was. We're going to be racing a lot, another 90 some odd nights. We're finalizing the schedule. The teams have seen the schedule, so they're making their plans and preparations. The Patriot Nationals got kicked off added the second day, a big purse there we're going to make that a fan favorite here in Charlotte for Memorial Day weekend. We're just going to continue to expand on that. Just so everybody's aware, the Nashville event will probably be on every other year calendar. It won't be back on the calendar in 2020, but it's what needs to make sense. We need it to make sense for everybody. Again, the balancing act.
Sure.
We'll be back there. NASCAR's messed with their schedule a little bit. They go straight from Florida, go all the way across the country, Las Vegas. So they're asking us to promote a show in Wednesday deep in February, not in March. It's pretty tough. So we probably won't be back in the Las Vegas market this year. We've got some really great replacement weekends for those two shows. We're splitting up a couple of things. We're going to be racing. Got a couple of new exciting races in Oklahoma that'll be interesting.
Ooh, Sooner fans
coming your way, and a very historical racetrack. It's going to be really exciting, tying that in with one of our other events. So I think it's going to be pretty exciting there. Middle of the country, can't really disclose that one yet, but we're right on the cusp of a couple of other really, really cool things. It's same thing. Trying to cram too much into 1 year, but it's going to be really good. So for 2020, everything is new and exciting. More dirt vision, more racing. We'll have about the same number of shows. There's only so many weekends between February and November, so we're going to be racing. So I'm sure the I'd love to be back in Las Vegas. We'll wait and see if they can get the calendar sorted out a little bit better for 2021.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. We're certainly in that business. We've got the NASCAR calendar out, and about PRI time, when I get all the other calendars, we start looking at it and start putting my wish list together where I want to go. And when you have the 800-pound gorilla of NASCAR going through a major transitional phase, and you're right, it will change more into 2021. There are times things just don't work out, and it's just the nature of the nature of what we do here in the building at MRN, and you guys, and really everyone across the sport. I've ran out of my questions. What more do the fans? What haven't we covered here? What's the message that you'd like to give us as we go into this off season?
Off season, yeah. I don't know if we get one of those.
Yeah.
When I look back at 2019, you really look at it. It was an amazing surge of awareness. For the sport. There's I've got some of my statistics on the other side. We still have statistically the same number of drivers, still the same number of events relative to Mother Nature and her choice of what we're going to race and when we're not going to race. But we're now up to about 18 million page views on the websites.
Oh my gosh!
And 5 million video views. When you think about that. These are these are uniques. People watching videos and involved, looking at the sport, trying to what's that? What's this? What's that? And they So when you look at 2019, it really is a surge of awareness. You see it when Casey and Tonya, they've been involved, but you see the Jeff Gordon's jumping back in and looking at it. You see Ford coming back in. It really is it's not really a resurgence because we're experiencing this for some time. It's really 19 where we saw a really big lift in what we're doing and people paying attention. And I think that our ability to capture over 1,000 hours of content on Dirt Vision through all of the series, but with the World of Outlaws, it shows that when you can provide it, people will pay attention.
Yep.
And that's our goal, is to try to capture. And it's really not, the racing is only one component of it. I need them to understand the stories. I need them to understand and know the families that are going up and down the road to get it, you watch Bobby Allen and his family going up and down with Shark Racing. That's a story. I mean, if you want to know, between Jacob and Logan and Bill and how the whole thing is working, it's just magic. It's, to see where that's come from and what they're doing with the sponsors and the success they're having with those two boys. And you look at Darren and his family going up and down the road, Donnie and Danny with his struggles this year. My God, it's it's heart-wrenching, and to watch those battles come forward, and we're winning together, thank God. So on some of those things, and that's you start sharing that with people, and it is people want to pay attention, and so it's my job and our job to share that, make sure as many people as possible, as simply as possible, can it can be available to those guys to pay attention. So you're going to see a lot simpler ways to get to Dirt Vision, a lot simpler ways to get to some of our social media stuff, a lot easier ways, a lot of one-click stuff to get to those pieces coming. The technology is there now. There's one statistic I saw, and it's mind-boggling to me, that all of these pieces, the 1 million social followers, the 250 million impressions, the 5 million video views, it's over 5 billion impressions.
Oh my gosh,
So that number, to me, extraordinary when you think about something that was, what Ted's vision was in 1978.
Yeah.
And you look at it now, I can only imagine. I hope he's smiling.
Yeah. Absolutely. We see the same passion, the same desire. I really want to commend you on the website between just the stats, the races, the race recaps. I love that your crew gets them done early. I know Nick and the gang, everyone is. When you guys are on the West Coast, I wake up and see the results, see the video packages, see the results, and I think that's important to have that regularity there. Of course, Open Red, just huge fan of what Ross and Justin are doing there. We shared this. Ashley and I shared this. I just think it's great that all of us are just doing all of the things we're doing, because there's more stories than Open Red can tell. There's more stories than Wing Nation can tell. There's more stories, and it's really, really neat. And I really love, and I know a lot of our fans are old school fans, a lot of the historical stuff you're getting in there with Kevin Eckert doing some writing and some stats and everything. I think that's really, really neat too for the old school fan. So the World of Outlaw website is really, really on point. So,
I'm going through some of the pain and suffering. I know we get a few bits of feedback on that. Well, we like the old site site better? Well, yeah,
It's new.
it's new and different. And I can't find my spots where I was looking. I used to go, but I don't have to scroll anymore to find the page, and my phone looks right, and the things. Just get used to it with us, please, fans. I appreciate that. If you could give us a little bit of patience, but we're on a path. It is already way better. It's easier to maintain. It becomes easier to upload and to get those things to the stats and all those pieces readily available. Like you said, we're bringing some of that with Kevin and his writing. With all of the stats being on the site, corrected wins. This was a significant amount of work to get all that stuff up to date, right, and then published in a manner that you can actually go look for and find. And it was thanks to all of the guys that helped us do that. It wasn't just inside the building; it was outside too. And it was it's nice to have all that in one place, a repository, something that helps us preserve. You heard that with the things that we're doing with. We did some things with the rookie award this year. We expanded that program. We had I think I lost count 15 or 16 World of Outlaws rookies of the year over the course of the history in the banquet hall.
In the banquet hall,
In the banquet hall when we presented this.
That was neat.
So we got something special for those guys. We picked up Working Woody to help to kind of help remind us. Those are things that were important to me as a young man, little boy watching the racing.
Neat stuff.
So it's exciting to preserve the past and then race this thing as hard as we can into the future.
It is really, really neat, really, really fun stuff. And I didn't know Ted all that well, but he's got to be proud with where this thing is going and that vision of the Outlaws traveling around the country and entertaining millions, even the 5 billion impressions. That is absolutely amazing. As always, Brian, we appreciate the time. I love our visit here at the end of the year. We appreciate you coming in and hanging out with us.
Thank you so much. I appreciate all the race fans. Thank you for coming out. It was a great 2019. I can't tell you how excited I am about 2020. We got lots of things in store. The guys are at the shop right now putting it together, putting the finishing touches so that we can have a heck of a show at PRI, and opening day at Volusia is going to be incredible. So thank you guys so much for a great 2019, and you guys for spreading the word. We appreciate you very much. We're going to have lots of stuff on Dirt Vision between now and then. And if you want to pick a show out from last year, it's on there too. You can go out there and take a look and watch, and get your fill. So
that's the beauty of it. Yeah, it's all right there. That really is. That is for sure. And and this excitement is from a guy that has had probably no sleep over the last 5 or 6 days. Imagine what he's going to be like when he gets a little rest.
Can you tell? Tell? Yeah. Okay. All right.
I know you were in Florida attending to some business down there and stuff that's going to keep us excited once we get to February. As always, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve.
How about for Brian Carter joining us here, the CEO of the World Racing Group. Now, I did mention it in our tease. There is still one more race. If you're in Pennsylvania, Baps Motor Speedway has the Goofy Sprint Car Showdown. $10,000 to win Sunday afternoon. The Cushion has the live pay-per-view on that, so make sure you support our friends up at Baps Motor Speedway. The HRP Racing Calendar, upcoming Wing Nation calendar, we're down to one more show, Saturday morning, 7:30 and 10:30 on MAV TV. Wing Nation, presented by Sage Fruit, the champ. Brad Sweet joins us on that program, so we make sure you tune us in. We appreciate everyone joining us all year long. Thanks again for Brian for coming in, but race fans, more important than all of that, we appreciate you joining us here all season long on Wing Nation.
This has been the Wing Nation podcast. Find Wing Nation on wingnation.com, Facebook, YouTube, or your favorite podcast provider. The Wing Nation podcast is a production of the Motor Racing Network. All rights reserved.